You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts or on our YouTube channel, all over social media, or our morning newsletter, KCSN Daily, dedicated to your Kansas City Chiefs. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
KC Laboratory, sponsored by Emprise Bank.
It's a live edition and another game preview edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank. A bank is more than a building down the street. It's a partnership for some of life's biggest joys and obstacles. Emprise Bank has all the tools for your rainy day and your brightest moments in life. They are your partner in possible. Sign up for an online account today and let them be part of your journey. They're part of our journey. They're part of our journey with the KCSN Draft Guide. They're part of our journey here at KC Sports Network, and I am honored to be on this journey with my two beautiful pals. First, find them on Twitter at Matty_KCSN. Matthew Lane, hello, how are we? Happy game preview edition.
Hey, guys, listen, it's almost time. It's almost the regular season. Like, we're getting there. We are on preseason game 2 right now, and it is time for us to get ramping up as we get going. We have a big game against the Washington Commanders here, so let's get this bad boy cracking.
It's Washington football team. I'm refusing to call them anything else. I got attached to Washington football team, and now that's just who it is now for me. I'm sticking with it. I'm doing that. I'm calling it that. And the entire post-game show that we're going to do after this live at the Kingdom Bar and Grill. My good pal Kent is going to be there. If you are in the Kansas City area, you definitely need to be there as well. It's a fun time, really fun time. So it's back in the swing of things. We're doing these on Thursdays. We're live. We got Kingdom Bar coming up. Man, almost feels like the season.
Yeah, it does. It's almost like we're in the preseason. Weird how that works. Make sure you come hang out at the Kingdom Bar and Grill on Saturday. We're gonna have a lot of fun. BJ Tucker will be there. Craig and Maddie will be there digitally. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a great time. And Kingdom Bar is great. Like when we went, we had draft, I think the last time we were there was draft season, and the draft was absolutely phenomenal. It was so much fun to be there for that weekend. So come hang out with us, at Kingdom Bar and Grill, and come hang out with us for the next, 30, 45, if Maddie would have his way, 3 hours,
57 minutes.
So, and hit the like, subscribe button, please. That always helps our channel grow. It helps us do all this stuff as we're building it. So please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please tell us what you want to call the Washington football team.
Do you guys know what their abbreviation is?
Washington it's WFT, and should always be that from now.
You know what it is now? Like, what they have added, it is officially WSH. They have just completely abandoned anything that has to do with the team name. They're just going with WSH. Like, what are we doing here, guys?
Gross.
What are we doing?
Why not WAS? Was the Commodores. Matthew Kettner cars. I like that better. I permission to call them the Commodores the rest of the night.
I mean,
I like Washington. It's Washington football team.
I like Washington football team. I'm just saying, if you have to abbreviate it now, it's now gone from all sorts of names, from the best of WFT, and now they're WSH.
Gross. All right, game preview time. This is the game that we anticipate the Chiefs will be playing their starters the most. I believe I was talking to Jason Anderson on 810 today. We all do a rotation with the midday show over at 810. You can check out the laboratory like every day at 11 or every Thursday at 11. We were talking, I believe he said Patrick Mahomes last year, went 3 drives in the second game. Andy says, we learned what a quarter means to Andy last week, right? 3 drives this week. I would anticipate maybe a few more. What do you want to see out of the first team offense, Matthew?
Of course, we're starting with the offense and not the defense.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Who's playing in this game, right? The Chiefs had a handful of injuries since their last game, guys that have left practice, guys that haven't practiced at all this week. So I guess that's what I want to see first. Like, who's playing, who's not. Knowing the Chiefs and Andy Reid, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it doesn't sound like Juju Smith-Schuster is likely to play, given that Andy said he is likely to return to practice next week. He didn't mention anything about the game. So I'm assuming, and that's as of right now, assuming that Juju Smith-Schuster won't play. Knowing the Chiefs holding McCole Hardman out wouldn't shock me at all. That would be very normal for them to do at this time. So, buddies, we might get a Chiefs offense with Sky, the Thigh Moore, Justin Watson, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling all on the field together.
Wait, you think that they're going to run 11 personnel in the preseason? My man, they're running 21 and 12. Like,
listen, they did a couple snaps the first week.
A couple. No, I mean, yeah, I don't want to see McCole. I don't want to see Juju this week. Nobody needs to get anything aggravated. I mean, be healthy for week 1. That's the most important element here. So sit those guys, give them some time. Blake Bell as well. Give them some time here and let these guys recoup. We certainly will see some Justin Watson, some Marquez Valdes-Scantling, some Sky Moore, maybe some Darius Fountain mixing in there. We're going to see a lot more Noah Gray. It looks like we're going to actually see Jody Fortson for the first time in this preseason out on the field. So there's a couple of guys that are going to mix in there. And I think that's good. You want those guys catching passes from Patrick Mahomes, working with his cadence, running route trees off of other guys that are going to be running with the ones there. Not that they haven't been doing it in camp, but it's good to see it against, live ammunition there and seeing that against a Washington defense that is probably is better, definitely better than the Chicago Bears defense. So it's a good test. It's a good thing to see. I am curious to see how the depth looks with the rest of the offense there, because there are so many pieces, like Matty said, that are going to be swapping in and out a little bit here.
Hey, the Bears are putting it on the Seahawks right now. Thank you very much.
I think that's more of an indication on the Seahawks than it is anything.
I would even give, I'm honestly like, I wouldn't hate the idea of Travis Kelce getting like one possession and getting out of there. I don't hate the idea of Patrick Mahomes working with some of these quote unquote secondary pieces to this offense. Some of the guys we talked about, wouldn't hate, like to Craig's point, getting used to the cadence, but just, Mahomes getting a chance to kind of spread the ball around a little bit more. We kind of anticipate this offense will be a little bit more, some more opportunities for different guys, letting the concept drive the direction of the football a little bit more, maybe at times. And that seems like a good chance for some of these young guys to go together with Patrick Mahomes and get some work in, right? So I don't know if I hate the idea of just, maybe, oh no, Travis Kelce's got a visor after one possession. Like, let Mahomes work a little bit more with these guys, get him out after 3, call it good. I'm okay with that. If that happens, always go around. Oh, go, Craig, go. No, you're ready.
No, that means more Matt Bushman time. Like, I think we're all here for Matt Bushman time. So
are we?
Let's go, baby.
Listen,
I think
Tucker's
you mean
not
Jordan
on the podcast
Franks
right now.
I think you mean Jordan Franks
have
time
to represent the Matt Bushman hive.
I get it. I understand the hype train is going, but here's the thing: like, Jordan Franks was getting like force-fed targets, and Matt Bushman was just playing special teams reps.
It's just saving him for Washington. That's all. Just letting him get reps there.
Saving him for okay. Kit, go on. What was your question?
I want to know the offensive weapon you're most excited to watch in this like kind of dress rehearsal type game for the Chiefs.
I think this is the Sky Moore game. Like, this is everything shaping up. Like, everyone's excitement and hype for him is probably as high as it's ever going to be. Like, I don't know if much can change. Yeah, here we go from Morgan. Sky Moore gets 3 touchdowns. Like, this is the game to do it, right? You're going up against a relatively good secondary for Washington. So this game will show you a little bit as long as everybody's playing. William Jackson, Kendall Fuller, Benjamin St. Juste, Cam Curl. Like, they have some players in the secondary. So if he goes out there and looks good and crisp, That's going to look really nice. And then you add on to that the fact that he's going to get the opportunities this week because Juju Smith isn't going to play, because McCole Hardman might not play. There might be a lot of opportunities for him early on and get a really good a chance to shine. So, I want to see him do a lot in this game, or at least get the opportunity to do a lot. So that way I can draft him earlier in fantasy drafts just to get my, just to set myself up for failure when he ultimately plays like 12% of the snaps behind the rest of the veteran wide receivers.
I mean, I'm most curious to see Isaiah Pacheco get a little more run. We as part of a ticket giveaway last weekend on the KCSN Discord, we put a line, basically whoever was closest without going over to Isaiah Pacheco's total scrimmage yards there, offensive, not return yards. And we had one person that was underneath it. I think everybody, all of us, expected him to be getting reps in the third, maybe even the fourth quarter. A guy that was just going to get a ton of reps, was going to be kind of a preseason workhorse type of guy, and he gets yanked early. He gets yanked with the ones. Now the ones are going to run a little bit more. I think we'll probably see him a little bit more. We're going to see him featured a little more. I want to see more because what we saw was good, and I really liked what I saw. Andy is certainly going to run basic concepts. They're not going to unleash this guy. It feels a little bit more like they're guarding him a little bit, but give him 4 or 5 touches. Let him kind of tote the rock a little bit more. Let's see what we got, because they certainly like him. We like the prospect himself. I want to see more of him on the field.
The hype's so real with him, and it just continues to grow. And like every national guy has got some kind of additional piece of anecdote about Isaiah Pacheco. It might have been Albert Breer, maybe. I can't remember who it was. Talk about like big, like he's got some Kareem Hunt to him, and I'm just like, okay, that's high praise. So, I mean, I don't know. Like the hype continues to rise. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know what is standing in the way of him stealing Clyde Edwards-Helaire's snaps. The way he runs, the physicality he runs with, the long speed. You saw the contact balance. You saw his catching the ball out of his backfield. Whew. I wouldn't be stunned if Clyde Edwards-Helaire's role gets eaten into in a sizable way by the middle of the year. I don't know if it's entirely. This isn't entirely. I mean, this is a lot of buying in Isaiah Pacheco, but this is also like I'm a little nervous about where we're at with Clyde Edwards-Helaire at this point. Like,
so you're gonna make me do it, huh? You're gonna make me try to slow down the Isaiah Cheeks hype train here. Because we're getting a little out of hand here. Like, go back and watch the man run at Rutgers. There's some significant issues with how he runs the football. Has he shown vision for Matthew Kinter? No,
nope,
he has not.
I think he missed a cutback in the first.
No. He missed the actual run lane. Then he missed the cutback, and then he fell forward for a couple extra yards. Like, his actual running ability is still very much a work in progress. You like it because as a one cut and go runner, he has the power and the speed to still be dangerous, but you were going to be flirting with the inconsistency the Chiefs dealt with for a long time after Kareem Hunt, and which Damian Williams. Damian Williams, but I mean, anybody, even Spencer Ware, Charkandrick West, like these guys had some talent, but it was inconsistent. They might rip off a longer run, but you're dealing with a lot of negative ones and 1 yarders in between from everything else. Like, we got to slow down, I think, on Pacheco taking Clyde's job, because I think there's significant consistency stuff. We need to see it. It's like, excited to see it. Yes. I'm going to hold off on saying he's taking anything away until I see him properly execute more than like 1 run.
I think he's taking more than 1 grown man's job. I am not saying he is completely replacing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I just could see Pacheco's role increasing further to a point where the line is blurred a little bit more, a la like a Damian Williams. I think Damian Williams, in the complementary version of a Damian Williams, that kind of workload is not out of the realm of possibility. That's all I'm saying. And I 100% agree. I think it was like his first run, like he missed some things, and that was always something. That was always the case at Rutgers. That was one of the big questions I had about him was his vision. But man, runs hard, physical, all those kind of
Put him in
things could
space.
get him some
Put him in
opportunities.
space. Yeah.
So yeah, no, you got anything else to add there, Gregory? Or you just
I mean, I just in general about the offense here. I'm looking forward to how they look against the secondary. This is way better secondary, way better DBs that are out there. I mean, this is Kendall Fuller, William Jackson, Benjamin St. Just. I mean, like these are guys that we liked a lot. Former Chief and Kendall Fuller, William Jackson's a good football player. Like these are guys that should match up well. So we saw what Sky Moore, Justin Watson, even Darius Fountain a little bit there, what those guys were able to do against the Bears backups there. So if they're going to get promoted, not only are they going to take the step up and going against some starters, they're also taking a big step up in the quality of the player that they would have seen if they would have gone up against the Bears starters there. So it's a good test for those young receivers. So keep that in mind if you're watching that and you're seeing, hey, Sky's getting a little bit locked up a little more than he was in game one. There's a reason for that. These are significantly better DBs out there. So just keep that in mind when you're watching it this Saturday.
Hey, do us a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe button if you're watching this right now. Leave some comments. Tell us about some of the offensive players that you're excited to watch. Maddie, you sound like you're about to jump in on what you need.
Yeah, I was gonna echo kind of what Craig said, and that the secondary for the Washington football team is better. So like there might be a lack of separation, or if you see separation, it might mean a little bit more than it did cooking the Chicago Bears secondary, especially the second teamers. But simultaneously, we're going to talk offensive line here a little bit because this is a big step up in defensive line. Even with Chase Young not playing, being on the PUP list, they still have Montez Sweat, Darren Payne, Jonathan Allen. This is Fedarian Mathis is a young guy that I think was excelling for them a little bit during camp. This is a good defensive line. The first team Chiefs offensive line was fine, but I don't think Andrew Wiley put his best foot forward the first week. Orlando Brown Jr. got beat on the inside on one play. I don't want to harp too much on a singular play, but it did cost a potential touchdown pass as he let Mahomes' arm get hit. So you want to see the first team offensive line, especially the tackles, be a little bit better than they were against Chicago. And then the backups, like the backup offensive line, can somebody show up? Can a single person on that backup offensive line show up and be like, hey, I am here to play? I do think Nick Allegretti was fine. I do think Garrett Christian was fine. Neither I don't think were excellent, but they were okay. They're fine for depth guys. But you got to get more. You need to see Darian Kinnard step up. Roderick Johnson has gone from starting left tackle to he might be in the next wave of cuts if he's as bad as he was again last week. It was terrible. And there's no competition behind him. So I want to see the depth in this offensive line because the Chiefs were unusually healthy for any NFL team last year, especially along that unit. If somebody has to step in and they're having Andrew Wiley playing like he did against Chicago, and then what do these depth guys look like? That could get bad quickly.
I was gonna let Craig say, but 100%. And I think you look at I'm more interested in the second team offensive line than I am anything. That's really that's my main focus. I think largely the offensive line, the first team offensive line is that known commodity. I do think Andrew Wiley's performance kind of left the door open a little bit more for somebody to take it, but nobody has shown any propensity to be able to. I keep waiting for Darian Kinnard to maybe come on a little bit, but we haven't seen that. Yeah. And that was kind of the hope, right? Because I don't think the bar has been particularly high to clear, but I think Chiefs will probably ultimately roll with that continuity. They'll go with, with Andrew Wiley. I don't think anybody's taking him in the next, 24 days up until the next time that the Chiefs play a real meaningful game. And you just hope that what Andrew Wiley puts out there is a little bit better than what we saw in the first week. Real quick, guys, if you're living paycheck to paycheck or struggling to make ends meet, it can be really stressful when unexpected expenses come up. Now, Dave can help you get out of a pinch when you really need it. Dave is the banking app that helps you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. That's more money to fill your tank, buy a wedding gift, or catch up on bills. You can finally tackle those expenses that have been stressing you out without any hangups. There's no interest and no credit check needed. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to get the financial relief they need with extra cash. So if you're in a pinch and need some extra help, download Dave and think of it as a helping hand from future you. Download the Dave app from the App Store right now. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking provided by Evolve, member FDIC. I think it's time to move on to the defensive side of the ball. Craig's ears have perked up.
Oh, finally. Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. So here you go, buddy. Let's get on the defensive side of the ball. First storyline, what you see and what you want to see like from the defense against the Commodores.
I mean, against the Washington football team here, I feel like I'm going to be a little bit of a drum. I'm going to beat the same drum on this side of the ball. I want to see what the young guys look like against a better receiving core. I mean, Terry McLaurin is twice as good as Darnell Mooney, and that's not dunking on Darnell Mooney. Terry McLaurin is just that good. But it's Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Diami Brown. I mean, these are guys that are
Dax Milne.
Okay, I'm not going that far, but I mean,
dog.
These are these are guys that are better football players. This is a bigger test for Joshua Williams, for Jalen Watson. I expect we're going to see Rashad Fenton, we're going to see Trent McDuffie, and we're going to see L'Jarius Sneed with the starters. But I bet we're going to see guys mixed in a little bit there. Steve Spagnuolo wants to get those guys in, wants to give them as many reps as possible. It could just be that he's trying to show to Dave Toub how invaluable they are so that he doesn't get replaced on the roster. But whatever the case may be, these guys are going to see a step up in competition, and a major one. The Chiefs don't have somebody, at least I can't look at somebody confidently and say that guy's going to be able to line up and guard Terry McLaurin. They've got certain ways that they're going to try and prevent that, but I also don't see Steve Spagnuolo really kind of tipping his hand, trying to play some bracket coverages, things like that. Like, he's going to let these guys test it out. He's going to put them in some scenarios where guys are going to be in man coverage, and Terry McLaurin might get the better of these young guys. But conversely, like it was saying in the previous segment there, if they come out and they look good against McLaurin, you can start getting a lot more hyped about Trent McDuffie, Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson. Like, you get a lot more excited about these guys because it's translating. They're running a lot of what Steve Spagnuolo wants to run, and they're doing it well against better competition.
So there's so much on the defensive side of the ball that I'm actually really excited for. And I think it has to start like at the top. And Steve Spagnuolo just throwing caution into the wind and just bringing nonstop pressures and calling complex coverage shell shifts and changes in preseason games. Just doing Steve Spagnuolo stuff that he does during the regular season of the playoffs, but doing it 3 out of the first 4 plays that you see in preseason, I thought was hilarious. It makes a ton of sense. A lot of new bodies, a lot of new guys out there. They have to learn to do these things in real time. So I fully understand why they were doing it, but it's a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to see a team actually call real stuff a little bit. I mean, he's not showing everything, but the Chiefs weren't going full vanilla on defense, at least especially their starters early on. So that was fun. And then I like what Craig mentioned here, looking at the young guys in the secondary, but specifically Jalen Watson. Like, if he can replicate what he did against the Bears, hopefully he gets on the field maybe even a little bit earlier this week just to kind of show a little bit of elevation, reward him for playing well. Maybe not. If Fenton's back, it might be kind of hard to get earlier in the rotation. But if he can play really good again, he'll be making a really strong case to make this roster. And then it gets tricky for the Chiefs. If he puts out another good week of film, I don't think a guy in his shoes that played as good as he has to just 2 preseason games makes it to the practice squad. The Chiefs might have to make a tough decision because if he replicates what he did against the Bears, I think that will be good enough film for other teams. We do this every year. We hype up a guy that gets cut. We say there's no way he gets picked up, but I'm just trying to look at it specifically from that game. He was really good. It wasn't just hype. He played excellent. If he can do that again, I think the Chiefs kind of have to keep him, and then we got to figure out what we're doing with the rest of that defensive backroom.
I'll be stunned. I mean, there's still plenty of time. Like, I think we're like at the midway point between training camp opening for the veterans and the first game. of the season. It's like we still have like 24 days or something stupid. It feels like I don't remember exactly how many it is, but it's a lot. I think it's 24. I'm it's gonna be a long road to get there, but I look at Jalen Watson like I have him in. I don't think the Chiefs can afford to risk losing him, and I think he's a guy that I want to see them give a chance to help this football team. I mean, Charvarius Ward was a 7th round pick. People forget, like, he was a 7th round pick. He just got traded for Parker Anger at the end of the year, and Jalen Watson is a long, physical corner, some questionable ball skills. The Chiefs have done wonders with one of those in the 7th round pick, or with a 7th round pick prior. I'm geeked. If you were going to ask me to single, I was going to ask, to single players out. Jalen Watson was going to be that guy for me, because I very much enjoyed watching him play. I know the play in open space wasn't pretty against Treston Ebner, but like everything else I thought about that performance was pretty solid. Some ball production, some physicality. There's a lot of good things to like about what Jalen Watson did. So yeah, he's up there on the list for me. Defensive storylines. I'm kind of curious about Danny Shelton and Carlos Dunlap. So me, like, I'm kind of anxious to see the guys that we haven't had a ton of time getting to know, right, in Kansas City. Carlos Dunlap, I believe, got a little bit of PT in the first preseason game. I want to see him get a little bit more. I want to see if Danny Shelton gets to jump in there and what he kind of looks like. We've talked about the profile.
Very large. He looks very large if he gets in there.
It's conditioning, though. I mean, that's the big question. I think we're all having the question about is give him a chance to, hopefully he's on the field and they force him in to hurry up. Like I wouldn't hate that. Like, let's just see what this man's made of early on here in the process, because I think that's one of the indicators of whether or not he's going to be a member of this football team, a contributor on this football team, is conditioning. So for specifically with Danny Shelton, I just like to see him kind of get out there for multiple reps and how that all goes. And like those two guys are one of the focal points for me. Is just I want to see the old new guys getting out there and playing a little bit more. Dunlap, I'm curious how much he actually winds up, but I would bet Danny Shelton fighting for a job. It feels like fighting for a job. I bet you he plays a substantial amount of snaps.
Mine's all pass rush. I mean, like after I'm watching the young guys, it's the pass rush. It looked good. Maddie and I did a George Karlaftis film room last night on the KCSN Discord. You can go in there, click on that link, watch what we did. He was incredibly impressive, especially, as the game went along. You can tell that he's just overwhelming guys. You can tell that the power, the tenacity, everything like that is just in there. And I love it. It's great. It's fun to see. I want to see it again. I want to see Frank Clark looking nimble again. Him chasing after Justin Fields and open fields and open field. That was good. He closed the space. He looked a lot more explosive. Chris Jones looked really good when he got his one-on-one opportunities. I want to see those three guys continue to produce. You want to put that sort of stuff on tape early, like in the preseason, work stunts, work things like that. Get these guys into space, showcase them as much as possible. Put a ton on, the Arizona Cardinals offensive line's plate in week 1. Have them looking at the preseason and going, oh crap. Okay, well, we got to deal with this kind of guy and this kind of thing now. And, you want to put as much as possible on there, and they started well. So continue it against a better offensive line, continue it and show that, hey, this pass rush that we all thought was maybe a little bit dead in the water and questions about it is a lot more lively than we thought it was going to be.
So I guess the only part of the defense that we haven't focused on is the linebacker room. So go Willie Gay, go make another fun play. All right, we've covered the entire defense now, Kent. I know you want to get out of here. I know you want to get off the defense.
I want to move on to some coffee. Trade's coffee team taste tests thousands of coffees to keep 450 different kinds live and ready to ship every day. And there's no one perfect coffee, but there is a perfect coffee for you, and Trade's human-powered algorithm will find it. Trade's first match guarantee. They're so confident they'll match you right the first time that if they don't, they'll take your feedback, and an actual coffee expert will work with you to send a brand new bag for free. Trade Coffee sends you freshly roasted beans from 60 of the country's best craft roasters, small businesses who pay farmers fair prices to sustainably source the greatest beans from around the world. And right now, Trade is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/KCSN. Take that quiz. You can get more than 40 cups of coffee for free. You take the quiz at drinktrade.com/KCSN and let Trade find you a coffee that you'll love. That is drinktrade.com/KCSN for $30 off. Is there anything else that you did want to cover on the defensive side of the ball, Matthew?
I mean, I think we should stick with the defensive side for a second. Yes, I wanted to ask you guys, each of you, who's one player that you think will gain the most? Just like whose player's stock is going to go up the most on the defensive side of the ball and whose stock is going to go down the most after this game. So like I'm asking for a player to watch or two players to watch, but also one that you think will do good and one that will do bad.
So one that's going to
go first.
So a player I think stock's going to go up after this game is George Karlaftis because he's going to put 2 solid games of pass rush and play together, and you're all going to be like, okay, this guy's the real deal. He's ready for the big time. He's ready to play a substantial amount of snaps, a meaningful amount of snaps, and play them well at the highest level. So I think George Karlaftis continues his ascent against the Washington Commodores.
I mean, Juan Thornhill. I thought that Juan Thornhill looked like he moved really, really well in game 1. He looked closer to his rookie year than I think that we've seen him since his rookie year. So that was a very positive thing to see out of week 1. Give me more Juan Thornhill. Let him work a little more over the top, put him in the slot, have him work a little bit in man coverage as well. I just want to see more. I want to continue to see how he looks. They certainly have put a lot on his shoulders. He's put a lot on his own shoulders this season. So I want to see it because right now, after watching that game 1, watching the way that he moved against that, set of wide receiving core there, but watching him work against those guys, it was very good. Continue to look good. Come out of this game with your stock really high. I think we're going to be very, very happy with where he's sitting after game 2.
I'm going to go with a guy, I think, a little bit maybe lower on the depth chart than kind of those two. Leo Chenal right now played almost all of his snaps with the third string linebacker group. Instead of talking, about guys that are competing at the first string spot, like how much stock up room is there for for starters or like high end rotational players? Like I just think Leo Chenal has more room for his stock to grow if he comes out and plays good again. If he's not already inserted into the second or first team linebacker group coming out of this week, I think that could happen. I think you very clearly see, when he's out there, what he does is really good. And I want to continue to see that. I want to see him keep coming downhill, blowing up blockers at the line of scrimmage, and then that continue. Because I think that's what the Chiefs could really use across from Willie Gay to go along with Nick Bolton. It's like I'm kind of looking at Leo Chenal here to come out of this game a little bit higher up on the depth chart.
So we're going to go to players. I guess you were wanting to say players that maybe are trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah, who do you think is going to disappoint in this game and might see, their roster spot or their position on the depth chart slip away?
Okay. I will go with, I don't think that Danny Shelton's here to push Tershawn Wharton. I think he's here.
Yeah, he's 3 Tershawn Whartons. He could definitely push him if he wanted to.
I think he's here to push Colin Saunders. Okay. I think that's the guy whose roster spot's being challenged, the guy who's getting pushed on. And the lack of consistency to this point in Colin Saunders' career doesn't bode well for his outlook. I think that's why the Chiefs decided to bring additional competition, especially a guy like we've talked about, more of a one tech than what Colin Saunders has shown. I mean, I think Danny Shelton's a better nose tackle over the center than what Colin Saunders has put on tape to this point in his career. And I think Colin Saunders is, at risk of losing this opportunity. I don't have a ton of optimism for him, being able to hold on to this job. I think Danny Shelton's coming to take it. And so I think Colin Saunders is heading in the wrong direction. I would not be stunned to see him not make the 53-man roster.
I'm going to say Elijah Lee. Elijah Lee was tweeting yesterday, control what you can control. Typically at this point in the season, that means, hey, I'm seeing some second team reps now. So Leo might be working
Maybe it's
with the
Leo.
first team there. I think that we're
Probably
going
ain't Jermaine Carter.
Yeah.
Is that next on the list, Matthew?
Well, I mean, maybe. Elijah Lee was fine. He was fine. And everything that we've seen out of him has been completely fine. I think he's making the team. I think he's part of this roster. I think he's going to play special teams. I think he'll be fine. But it's not like somebody that you're looking at, you're like, I see the path to being an impact player like you can with Leo Chanel. So, I think we'll see maybe a little bit more Chanel in with the ones. He got one rep with the first team in game one, just one. But I think we'll see more of that. Maybe Elijah Lee working a little more with the twos. And so I think that we'll be coming out of this just from the pure standpoint of the rookie leapfrogged him. Like we'll be looking at that and going, stock may be down on Elijah Lee a little bit.
Okay. I'm going to go with Joshua Kando, defensive end.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
I have not seen much growth from first year to second year. He looks a lot like the same player. When Craig and I were doing the Karlaftis film room yesterday, like there was a couple plays towards the end where Kando was out there with Karlaftis, and there was just some very, very significant errors that you would think an NFL player, even coming out of college, would have fixed, but especially a guy that has been in the NFL and NFL coaching for a year. I think he really needs a strong performance. Malik Herring has put laps around him in terms of performance from what little we've seen from camp, what was shown in the game. I think he's fighting for dear life for a roster spot. And I don't know if I see the path to him making it based on what we've seen so far. You can only hold on to potential or upside for so long. You got to start flashing it at some point. And he hasn't done that yet.
Let's do this on the offensive side. I think this is a good game, Matthew. I hate to tell you, your game is good.
Wow. Well, no, it's okay. You were going to win, but now you're not. So continue.
There is no chance I was going to win. Also, by the way, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Tell us some players you think will be stock up and stock down on both sides of the football after this week 2 game. Let's do it on offense. A player you think stock will continue to rise after this game, Craig. What you got?
Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think we got a taste of it in game 1. Patrick clearly trusts him, especially on scramble drills. Probably should have had a touchdown. Ball gets, Patrick's arm gets hit. Like they were clearly featuring him and they were clearly looking to get him the ball. I think we're going to see more of that. He's going to be the guy that's out there that Patrick trusts the most with that first team there. If Juju and McColl both don't play like we expect them to. So I think that we're going to see him a lot more featured. And there's been a little bit of rumblings here, training camp videos and things like that he's had some drops. He's had some issues with that. Come out, have a good performance, get, 4 targets from Patrick Mahomes over the course of 3 drives, convert some first downs, maybe get yourself into the end zone. Like, I think we see a lot of positive things out of MVS. And I think that we can start riding the hype train a little bit. Not that he's gone forgotten by any means. He certainly has not gone forgotten. But I think with everybody else playing so well and Juju looking good, and Sky looking good, and Justin Watson looking good, I think MVS is that guy that's just kind of stayed where he was amongst Chiefs fans' minds. So this is the time that he can come out, put on a good performance, and send his stock through the roof.
I'm going to go with a little bit of a surprise here. We're going deep down the list. Jarrion Ely at also another wide receiver. And I don't know if he's necessarily going to climb the depth chart because I don't know if there's anywhere to climb. But I think given Juju not playing, given McColl not playing, Sky Moore maybe taking some earlier reps, likely getting out of the game a little bit sooner, you might actually see Jarrion Ely, who's going to fit in that same kind of slot role that McColl or Juju Smith-Schuster are both already operating in. He might get some more opportunities. I could see him coming out of here with a handful of fun plays that showcase some talent and a unique skill set that's going to get us as fans very riled up and very excited and like trying to rack our brains and do calculus to figure out how we can slip him onto the 53. It won't happen, I don't think, but I think he might have a game good enough to make everyone start to do that exercise. And so I think that'd be fun. He's a guy that I do want to get on the practice squad. I think he's good to have around. I think he's an interesting player. This could be a week where that hype really starts to kick off because he might finally get those opportunities.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for that if that happens. I was too low on Justin Watson. I've been too low on Justin Watson throughout the process, and
All wide receivers. Look at us.
It's a pretty big position right now. I just, man, some of the stuff we saw in the game was really impressive. I watched the game a couple of times now at this point. The touchdown catch was really nice. Playing a little bit above the rim, having to adjust in the air was really nice. The slice route he ran with Patrick Mahomes in practice this week, we got to see the highlight of, thanks to the wonderful Eddie High. Follow him on Twitter. Did a great job with the KC Sports Network coverage this week, or this whole training camp for that matter. I think I was probably too low on him. I think there's potential for him to get even a little bit of burn at the position at wide receiver, active on game day, potentially getting some opportunity on offense. Maybe making the most of it the way Marcus Kemp was never able to. So give me Justin Watson. I think a guy stock up. Stock down after this week. What do you think, Craig?
Oh, this is tough because, last week we did Ronald Jones and Josh Gordon, and now it's like, well, that was okay. Their stock is down. I'm not sure it can go much further down. So I'm going to take, I'm going to take Austin Ryder. I think that we're going to see some questions develop about the interior of the Chiefs offensive line. And we certainly have questions about the tackles, the backup tackles, but I think the general consensus is, yeah, they got a few guys in there. That guy's a lock. That guy's going to make it in there. He's going to be a part of this. The Washington football team defensive line is pretty good. Like, they are very physical. They've got some athletic traits. I think that Austin Ryder was fine in game one, but he wasn't really tested. And this is certainly a major test. We're going to see, guys beating the Chiefs offensive line if they play anywhere close to how they did in game one. We're going to see guys getting to the quarterback a little more often than we want. And I think we might see it come from the interior a little bit more. He's a guy that is probably a lock to make this roster, is probably certainly a guy that Andy Reid trusts, but I don't think that this is going to be his best game. And I think we may see some other guys now all of a sudden go from, hey, well, Austin Ryder is definitely one of your best 7 or 8 guys to, can you get by without him? I think that some questions might come up about the interior of that offensive line after this week.
You ready for me to Maddie answer this, Kent?
Sure. Can I go first?
No, Jody Fortson, stock down, because Noah Gray's just going to be better. And so we did this whole song and dance, me specifically, but a lot of people, about how Jody Fortson might be kind of climbing up this tight end depth chart this year. He's coming back healthy. He looks bigger. Maybe he'll have a different kind of role now because he can, help with the Blake Bell being the only inline blocker kind of thing. Like, there was just a little bit more hype to start this training camp process for Jody Fortson. And I don't want to say it fizzled out for like a good reason. He did get injured. He hasn't able to practice as much, but it did seem like even before he suffered, his minor injury, Noah Gray was starting to steal some headlines. He was starting to get a lot more hype from people that are there every day. We saw Noah Gray have a very significant role last week in the first preseason game. If that continues this week, if you see Noah Gray continue to get these, insert blocking reps, if you continue to see them figure out ways to use him as a blocker and without being just in line and get pass targets, I think you can maybe cement Noah Gray ahead of Jody Fortson in the depth chart after another strong week from Gray, especially if he outperforms Jody Fortson. So like, in a way, that's my stock down. So that's about as Maddie answer as I think you can get in this kind of situation, Ken.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Kind of building off the Maddie answer, I almost went with Prince Tega Winogo as a stock up, but mostly because of what we've seen to this point of the likes of Roderick Johnson primarily. It's been really, really rough, and Jarrion Christian falls into that classification too, but a lot of my angst is focused on Roderick Johnson. I saw some people making some Cam Irving jokes earlier. I would pick Cam Irving 10 times out of 10 over what we've seen to this point at the tackle position from Roderick Johnson and Jarrion Christian. I think it's a big concern. I think Prince Tega Winogo, despite maybe some of the the lingering ailments that he's had historically, I think some of the reasons he fell medically, man, I'm pretty sure I'd rather keep Prince Tega Winogo and see what you got there rather than what we've seen to this point. And I think another poor week Another poor performance from the tackle position could really hurt the likes of a Roderick Johnson. I wouldn't be stunned if it gets ugly for him again.
Anybody else got anything before we get out of here?
Come to the Kingdom Bar.
Oh, yep.
Come to the Kingdom Bar. If you are a golfer, you should sign up for the KCSN golf tournament. It's going to be an insanely awesome time. You guys need to be there for that. There's details on the KCSN Substack. You should hit the like button.
Also,
hit the subscribe button.
50% sold already. Spots for the KCSN golf tournament, 50% sold at day one.
You
so if
want
you're
golf?
interested, get in. It's coming.
Jump on it.
Mercy. I didn't know that.
Wow. And so, yes, if you guys are interested, please sign up for that. Thank you for the support. You guys are the reason we get to do that. We will have the best barbecue you ever eat will be around from dear friend, Chief Bearcat, from Corey. There he is. Come eat some barbecue. He is the chef. He will be making food for everybody. I want to say thank you guys. We had an active chat today. Shout out to Chief LA15. He's been talking to me and to all of us this whole time. Shout out to Matthew Kinter. Corey's been in the chat. Morgan, Sophia, all you guys that have been here that are regulars. Thank you guys for coming in, sending messages. Just because they all don't get up on the screen doesn't mean we don't see them. We see them all. We appreciate you guys saying stuff. It does help the show move along. And finally, quickly, Craig, score the game. Go before it shuts it down. Go, 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 go.
17-13 Chiefs.
18-17 Chiefs.
35 nothing.
Shut down before he
35 nothing Chiefs, and it'll be easy like Sunday morning after they beat the Commodores. That's gonna do it for the KC Laboratory. Thank you so much. We'll catch you later.